It's Brain Awareness Week. Your brain is so involved in your day to day health. And we're going to explain some things that are going to just literally blow your mind. So stay tuned to this podcast. I think you're going to really enjoy it.
Hello, everyone. Today marks the start of Brain Awareness Week for the week of March 16th to the 20th. I'm here with Dr. Chris Cormier. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the human brain. Hello, Dr. Cormier.
Hey, Cameron. How's it going?
I'm doing well today. Why should people care about their brain health?
So remember, the brain is, I always tell people there's no such thing as a headless human. You can do without a lot of things in the body, but you cannot do without the brain. It's literally your power company to trillions of cells. So this thing right here is wired to trillions of cells throughout your body. And literally those cells are completely dependent for power on your brain. So I would say it's infinitely important. In my opinion, it's the most important thing in the human body.
You say that the nervous system controls everything in the body. What does that mean truly?
So try to imagine if I'm going to just flex my bicep here. Well, this side of my brain has to send light energy through a nerve in my neck here that specifically goes to my bicep. And that's the only way this works. My bicep is a muscle. It won't work without a connection from my brain. That's just a muscle cell. You can imagine you have bone cells. Every single bone cell is wired to the brain.
Wow.
Every single muscle cell is wired to the brain. All your tissue, everything's wired to the brain when it comes to this stuff. Your organs and your glands and your skin, all those cells are wired to the brain. So we're talking trillions of nerves that are infinitely important, and not only important in providing power out. So like if I want to move this arm, that's power out from the brain. But if I want to feel something here, like if somebody puts something really hot and it's burning me, I got to react. If these cells are connected properly to the brain, there should be a signal through a nerve to the brain in milliseconds that says, hey, there's something hot. But if those are not right, then you don't feel it.
What happens when the brain loses these proper communications to the body?
Then the cells that they lose communication to get unhealthy, and they can get different conditions. They can have different symptoms that basically just start to manifest. And the next thing you know, whatever those, if it's cells in a gland, for instance, we hear all the time how many people get their gallbladder removed. All the time they get it removed because it's failing. Sometimes we've seen 12-year-olds with a gallbladder removed. Well, the brain just lost power to the gallbladder. And you got to think of it, there's reasons why. So it's not like they just, one day woke up with gallbladder failure. There's different stresses on planet Earth that affect us. So basically we have physical stresses, we have emotional stresses, and we have environmental stresses. And any one of those stresses, they can turn off this breaker box in your body. So like your brain, your spinal cord, there's 88 major nerves that are big power lines, and they go to all your parts. And so anything that you do in your life can actually turn off power to a group of those cells, and sometimes they don't recover their power, and they just stay bad, whether it's an organ, a muscle, a skin, or a bone.
Amazing. So let's go a little bit deeper on the cellular level. You often talk about your OWL method. Do you mind explaining to us what that is, what it stands for, and what are the core principles behind it?
Sure. So the body, if you want to think of it, obviously we have this amazing human body that's God made, that is God engineered by the best engineer in the history of the world. And so this body, when you think of it, has basic ingredients. The top ingredient in all your body is oxygen gas. And that's why you can do without a lot of things you cannot do without breathing. And everybody should know that, but nobody really does. When I actually tell people that, they don't know. So remember, nobody has enough oxygen throughout all their trillions of cells because they don't breathe enough and they don't know where they're breathing anymore. So we have all kinds of oxygen devices to get oxygen to cells. Second most prevalent ingredient is water. And so some of our patients don't drink enough water, or they're drinking enough water, but the body's not processing it properly. Maybe it's the wrong type of water. So quality and quantity matter. We have ways of helping with that. And the third, like we talked about, is light energy. And that's how this thing works. It's fiber optic. You want to think of this thing right here. It should be connected to all the trillions of your cells throughout your entire day. I always tell people the goal is 85%. We want this thing, your brain, connected at least 85% to your cells. And I don't say 100 because in today's world, it's impossible. There's too much interference that's affecting the communication between our brain and our cells.
What inspired you to come up with this method?
Family, mainly. it was always an intrinsic motivation because I just didn't feel comfortable around conventional medicine. So many times where I would have certain conditions growing up in a conventional family, just saw so many different things where family members had X amount of conditions and it just managed conventionally. I didn't like the way modern medicine was doing that, or trying to help them. And so got into doing the things we do, and basically was a regular chiropractor for many years, but then I didn't like the way they taught me. And so then I started learning. My family at the time started having things. So like my son had a staph infection. My daughter had like a sinus infection. My wife had a sinus infection that, I mean, just literally she'd get 3 a year, and antibiotics 3 times a year, and just wake up stuffy every morning. My daughter developed like a virus that kids get. My youngest son was born with a lazy eye. I mean, all these conditions were happening at the time I started learning these new principles, and we started having amazing success with fixing just the connectivity. Once I started learning how to do these new things and applying them, and it was like once I opened my brain up to new possibilities, then everything opened up. And then we started, that's how the whole OWL method got developed, after an injury I experienced.
Wow. What role does lifestyle or environment play in brain health?
So remember, everything you do can either be good or bad.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way you want to think of it. So in every single day, none of us are perfect. I don't think there's anybody out there that's perfect, in terms of everything they're doing on a daily basis, physically, emotionally, and environmentally, are absolutely perfect. So where you want to be, though, is you don't want to be this person, where you're doing this many bad things and this many good things. So you want to at least be ahead in the amount of good things that you're doing, and also, optimally a little bit more than that each day. So everything we're doing, like it or not, has consequences.
Yes. Let's talk about Bodychargers. What exactly are they?
So we got to a certain point in dealing with patients. We've been working on patients now for decades, and I got to a certain point where this world's getting increasingly harder to live in. And so I started adding all these different things. I would rabbit hole, like, what's the best for home, for this or that or whatever, and I would mesh it with all the tech we have at the Nerve Health Institute. And then I started using all these things on myself because I'm always my own guinea pig. And I finally found things that were working the best, and then would start recommending those things for my patients. And then it just kind of, that we wanted to help them 24/7, but I couldn't go home with them, right? It's not possible. So these devices and methods and techniques we would recommend for them for home, and we got enormous success for many years. So finally I'm like, you know what, why don't we put all the things we've learned and put it into a platform for home to be able to help people at home 24/7. And so it took us a long time. Like, we've been building this out, and it's literally my life's work. But Bodychargers is an online teaching platform to help people with self-healing at home. And self-healing is our greatest gift. It's like this, it's an innate ability for your body to heal itself, all the cells. And so unfortunately, that ability gets lost, and they're like cuts that don't heal and cells that aren't healthy. So these methods that we have within our Bodychargers platform address those things for people.
You also talk a lot about different frequency therapies. How do frequencies interact with the nervous system in the body?
Frequencies are, I would say it like Einstein said in the early 1900s, frequency is going to be the future of medicine. And in my opinion, he was right. Its frequency is incredibly important. I really consider it number 4. So like if you say oxygen, water, light, then frequency, it's basically frequency. Think of each one of those trillions of cells having its own guitar string tune. So each one should stay tuned up. I'm not a musician, but if a good musician could just, touch guitar strings and say that one's not tuned up, and they can do the right things to tune it up. Well, that's what cells in our body do. When something interferes with the frequency in one of our cells, it'll just lose its tune, and it can't do its job. And so we have devices nowadays you literally can put in your pocket. They're just as big as this. They help to retune or reset the frequency of your cells. So it's catching up with today's world and trying to make sure that you're using all the God-given resources we have around us to be able to manage your body.
That device that you just showed, for example, is that something that could be used at home, or should it be supervised in a clinic of some sort?
No, it can be definitely used at home. There's plenty of instructions we offer through Bodychargers. Everything we're doing through Bodychargers is trying to help people to use the right resources, the right methods, the right techniques for home, so they don't have to rabbit hole. Because I know people out there, it's crazy overwhelming. If you try to go online and you try to research what's going to help you at home, people are just so confused.
Yeah.
Some people come to us with a garbage bag full of supplements. And notice how when we talk about the basic ingredients in a human body, it's oxygen, water, light, frequency, magnetism, then nutrients or supplements. So I don't go after supplements first, because that, in my opinion, those are not the number one thing you should go after. You got to go after these basic, higher level ingredients that are present in the human body.
What simple things can people start doing today to support their brain health?
Breathing more. So number one, people don't breathe enough. So even just some simple breathing exercises. In fact, in Bodychargers, we call it the 28-day cell sparking challenge. And people can literally just do this cell sparking challenge, and it teaches them all these basic little daily strategies to be able to help. But just for instance, just breathing more is huge. Just getting more oxygen, drinking water in the morning. Most people don't drink enough water. Getting some sunlight in the morning and throughout the day, people don't get enough sunlight. Those are just basic things that if people just did more regularly, they would notice a tremendous difference in the way they feel.
Do you think that frequency technologies like Bodychargers can become part of a mainstream wellness program?
I would love it to be.
Yeah.
But I think Big Pharma has other plans. They want to control and program people into just, dozens, if not hundreds of pills. And basically I always teach people, we don't want you headed for a 5-gallon bucket of pills in a nursing home. That's ultimately not where we want you to be. We want you to be as healthy as possible until God decides to pluck you and take you out. And so from our perspective, we're trying to use the very basic principles of how you're made, with science included. Because when I'm saying these things, I'm not making anything up.
Yeah.
I mean, oxygen gas is your number one ingredient. Water is extremely important. You can't function without light energy. I mean, there's a reason in the Bible he says, God says, let there be light. I mean, it's one of the first things he says. Without light, none of us are here. I mean, these are just basic principles that people need to bring back. And once they bring these things back, it's amazing. I'm not saying all bad about Big Pharma, but we want to try to do without it as much as possible. That's how me and my family choose to live.
Amazing. If someone is listening today and is struggling with chronic symptoms and feels like they've truly tried everything, where should they start?
So they could start just with Bodychargers. They could go get a membership. They could do the 28-day cell sparking challenge. That alone, we have plenty of people that just do that. It helps them tremendously where, they have all these ailments and they start doing these things we recommend and feel tremendously better. But then they could also come to the Nerve Health Institute or do both. And my best patients, let's say the ones that come here, we have to maybe go through a corrective plan of working with them, but they learn so much and they're Bodychargers members, so they need us less. And that's the best for me is teaching everybody coming through how to manage their body and how to be their own mechanic to where they understand a new type of lifestyle they never understood before.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Cormier. That does conclude our talk for today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Cameron. If you can relate to what we talked about in this podcast, then subscribe to our channel and like this video, as it really helps the algorithm. Don't forget, if you want to help yourself with self-healing at home right now, then simply become a Bodychargers by Dr. Chris member. And remember, our clinic, the Nerve Health Institute, is open all year round for in-person visits. For more information, just click the link below.